Watching Harry go from a cupboard to a castle hit harder than I expected.
Honestly, same. And at first it was the magic that pulled me in.
Yeah, but it was the love, friendship, and bravery that got me hooked.
Welcome to the Point of View podcast. My name's Asada Haman.
And my name's Yosa.
And here we are for another episode.
Yep, we're super excited to jump in with another movie for this week, specifically Harry Potter. And so this is definitely an interesting episode because I feel like we say this every week, but like we grew up with Harry Potter. Like, I mean, I feel like most people grew up with most of the shows and movies we talk about, but like Harry Potter, I literally remember watching like Goblet of Fire, like Philosopher's Stone, like Chamber of Secrets. It's both.
We're in America.
I'm pretty sure the book.
Because while we were planning this, we were like, oh, should we like call it Philosopher's Stone and like
Philosopher sounds like
sophisticated.
Fancy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, you're right. Like these were shows that we watched as a kid. Like you were first remember watching Goblet of Fire. I still remember watching the Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone, whichever one you want to call it.
I vaguely remember watching that.
That's so funny because I remember we were deathly afraid of it.
Oh, I remember we were terrified of Harry
Potter. So scared. We were
because it's kind of
scary.
A little bit to like little kids.
Like it's like kids. You don't know what's gonna happen, the suspense and all that. There's
like so many scenes in the forest and like random creatures coming out. So like as kids, we were like, oh, we're not watching the second or third movie. Yeah. And I think finally one day we just like sucked it up and we like finished the series.
I think we binge watched it.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah. But just like a little quick recap. So we are talking about the first movie specifically this week. But just recap for the people that have never seen it, because there actually are quite a few. I know a few people that have never read or seen Harry Potter.
Yeah, and some people, it's always curious to me, like, their reasoning. Some people have, like religious parents. They're like, no, like, it's the devil's work. You can't watch it or read it.
People are that way with Halloween, so.
Yeah, and then some people, it's just like, I just never
They just never, like.
Wanted to, yeah.
It's never one of those movies that you watched, but. But, yeah, so Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, it starts with this 10-year-old boy that just turned 11. He's living with his uncle, aunt, and his cousin that's about the same age as him. And so he's always been treated like differently. Obviously, he's been adopted by like his aunt is his mom's sister. And so his uncle is like technically like not blood related or whatever. And so he's been living with his family. They don't treat him very well. They're not a good family at all. They've always treated him kind of like dirt, like a servant, just like another helper around the house, because, you know, they already have their son, and he's kind of just like a burden they had to, like, you know, take on. And so he's always been different, and he kind of notices he's able to do weird things. He's able to make glass disappear and talk to snakes, and all these weird magical things happen around him, and he's not sure. And so one day he gets a letter in the mail for him from the school called Hogwarts. But the thing is, like, the uncle basically takes away. He's like, oh, you're not getting mail. Like, no. So he, like, takes it. And so the house starts flooding with mails from the school, like thousands and thousands of mails. They literally cannot keep up with all the mail that's coming in. So they move out to like this random like lighthouse tower.
So weird. Like, where did they even like?
I don't know. Like, they go to this like basically an island.
Yeah.
Like, they go to like this place and they're like living there because they're like, okay, we can't get any letters here because no one knows the address or something. And so like literally like literally this giant man comes in, knocks down the door, and like the famous line of like, you're a wizard, Harry, and like tells him and
do that one more time.
You're a wizard, Harry. I can't do his accent.
No, we're not British over here.
Not at all. But he comes and he tells Harry he's a wizard, and like that day also happens to be his birthday. So he's 11 years old and he gets taken to this school and he joins the Quidditch team, and it basically just follows the story of this young boy basically facing magical friendship, bravery, trials, all these things that happen. And so, you know, it's just your regular fantasy book that follows basically a bunch of kids. Again, like a bunch of kids.
Every fantasy book, series, story, movie, it's always kids, and they're always like 11 or 12. Like it's either they're 11 or 12 or they're like
Jackson,
16 or 17. Like it's never in between.
Yeah, it's Percy Jackson, 12 years old, Harry Potter, 11. Like every single like Vampire Diaries, all those shows, the girl's always like a 17-year-old, 16. Like,
yeah, if it follows a girl, she's always older and she's always 16 or 17. I don't know. It's definitely weird.
It's just a trend that's never been stopped.
Yeah, but I mean, Harry Potter is just, for me, it's a life-changing story. And like that's why we wanted to talk about it, because there's so many parts of this movie series. It's like, I think it's one of the only movies or movie sagas that's literally had a movie for every book, and it's 7 books, and the last book has 2 movies. Mm-hmm. So 8 movies, all high budget, all done well.
Yeah. Like, first movie came out in what, 2001?
Like, how many other book series can you say I've had 8 movies for my series?
The only one I can think of, maybe not even 8, has 6, like Lord of the Rings, maybe. But like, that's like including The Hobbit and stuff.
Yeah,
which
so
is like,
it's a different series. Like, I cannot think of another book series. So like that just tells you like the grasp that this had on like children all over the world, not just in Britain or America. It was like everywhere. Kids were obsessed.
And like, again, movies are pretty accurate to the books.
Yes, which is not always the case. We've talked about this on this podcast multiple times. They don't really like to follow the story for some reason. But for Harry Potter, they stuck.
They were like, J.K. Rowling was like, we're not screwing this up.
Yep.
But so kind of just to jump into how Harry Potter has like impacted us personally, because again, I probably watched the series like all the way through multiple times, and then each of the individual movies I can't even count. But I will say one of my favorite like lessons or quotes, this is by Dumbledore, but he's speaking to the character Neville, who isn't a part of like Harry's like group, but he's still an important character within the series. And it says, it takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friend. And so I think this is very important, because it's like in the very first movie, Neville basically has to stand against Ron, Hermione, and Harry when they're like basically sneaking off in the middle of the night. Neville's like, if you sneak off again, we're gonna lose like house points, because like, again, it's like a boarding school where it's like if you do bad things, like your house, your class, your section loses points, and like that affects everybody. So Neville standing up to them, technically for a good reason. He didn't understand why they were doing what they were doing, but Dumbledore tells him that because I think it's very important, because a lot of the times people are like, okay, you always think the threats are always gonna, I don't want to say threats or like enemies, but you always think the people that like are gonna drag you down, the people that are like against you, are always like outsiders. Or it's like, oh no, that's just someone I'm not gonna know. Someone's gonna come in and trick me, or someone's just gonna, friends are, they never take advantage of me and this and that. And just goes to show that like, yes, you can trust your friends, but sometimes you have to stand up to the people that even are your friends or even are your family, because at the end of the day, you have your own moral compass. Only you know what's right for you. You know what's right. You know what you've learned, and you know what you've grown up with. And Neville knew, at least in that situation, that what they were doing wasn't right. And so, yeah, like these people are his friends. He goes to class with them. He hangs out with them. He didn't want to be, stay in front of them being like, no, you can't go. And it's like 3v1, and you look like the idiot that's like standing up to people that are supposed to be they're supposed to be your friends. But it's just like, it's like scary, because it's like, imagine like you against like all your friends standing up for something. Like, it's not easy at all. And so I think Harry Potter really just touch on like loyalty and friendship just a ton, and how like that's so important to stand up for who you are, stand up for what you believe in, stand up for what's right and wrong, because not everyone always will, because sometimes people really just do go with what their friends do, what their friends say, what their family says. And so sometimes it's important to really just find your own way and know what's right for you and stick up for that.
No, I love that. And what came to my mind when you were talking about this is like you had two different perspectives. You had Ron, Harry, and Hermione's perspective that we're going to do something that's super important. But you had Neville's perspective, and both of them were not wrong.
Yeah.
And so sometimes in life, like there's two different perspectives where one friend or one person in your life is doing something to them, it's good for them, but it may not be good for you. Exactly. And I think that that's the thing that Harry had. Maybe this is a bit of a spoiler, but against the Voldemort.
Movie came out 24 years ago.
But like he had people to hold him accountable. Like even though he knew what he was doing was right, or in his mind it's right, he still had people to keep him in check, and you need that. Exactly. And I wonder if Voldemort didn't have anyone to keep him in check. Maybe in his mind he was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. But he never had someone to keep him in check and like think, is this right? And so when I think in our lives, we need to have people that, like you were saying, hold us accountable. We need good friends that will literally help us rise up and say, hey, you're doing this. Are you sure you're supposed to be doing this? You're going to hurt other people. Like, what is the reason? And you need to be able to say, oh, here is the reason. Here is why. Yeah. And I think that us as humans, we need good people around us to hold us accountable. So I love that Harry Potter says, has that message of accountability and friendship.
At 11 years old, too.
Yeah, which is crazy. But I mean, sometimes it's children that have the greatest,
that's true,
the greatest insights. I guess continuing on to like the idea of loyalty and friendship and love. A quote that came to my mind as we were like preparing for this that I like absolutely love was, love as powerful as your mother's for you leaves its own mark, not a scar, no visible sign. To have been loved so deeply will give you some protection forever. And I absolutely love that because I feel like in a lot of these like fantasy stories, a lot of times like there's just this separation from like family. Mm-hmm. Like they don't really talk about their family, or they go off on this journey and you're like, where are your parents? Like, or like their parents are dead all the time. And I mean like
they're
Harry's is dead too.
Somehow.
Yeah. But like you still see that like a parent's influence, a parent's love is still so great. Like for those who haven't watched it, because of Harry Potter's mom's love, he was able to be protected from the great villain in this whole series. And this was just a quote of like explaining like your mother's love has actually not just protected you, but protected a whole society, the whole world. And I wonder how much we can take that, into ourselves and think about that. Like, how much is showing love to other people? How much can that help protect and help uplift and like help people just, feel safe? Because I feel like in this world, there's not enough love. There's not enough kindness. And I feel like if we take like lessons that we're learning or you can learn from Harry Potter and apply it, the good lessons. Yeah. Let's not be following Voldemort.
Like, what? Avada Kedavra? Or something. I don't know. I don't even think that's how you say it.
Can the series still do on the like
Lumos or whatever?
Yeah.
If you tell her,
I wonder because we got new phones, but let's see. Lumos.
Oh, there's the flash. It works.
It works.
Siri understands the Hogwarts way.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. But if we just take those good lessons and apply them into the world we're living into, how much of a better world will we have? Like love and kindness and friendship.
And another thing about that quote that I love is that like the reason like his mom died from him is because they had like this great evil wizard, like the most powerful wizard of their generation, was coming to kill them. And because of that love, he could not touch Harry. He literally could not do anything to a baby, to a literal child. And so that shows you that, like, even though, like, it may seem like there's this great overbearing power that you have nothing against, that there are ways you can still defeat evil. There are ways that, like, love, friendship, power can defy all odds, because not everything is just oh, well, I have this great power. Because at the end of the day, we see that Voldemort had no one to care for him. He had no one to love for him. That's maybe even why he became that way. And that's why he was never powerful. The whole point of the story was, at the end of the series, which I won't say, but the whole point of the series was that Harry Potter had his family and friends, and that everyone's always telling him, like, oh, they're going to drag you down, they're going to bring you down. But Harry knew, like, no, I need them, actually. I need Hermione, I need Ron, I need Neville, I need my people. And that's how I'm going to stop, the greatest or the most wicked sorcerer to ever live.
Yeah, or the philosopher. Oh my gosh. But like, that is so true, because, and sometimes that great evil you're talking about isn't like a person. It's not gonna, in most of our lives, it's not gonna be Voldemort pulling up and down the street with his wand,
and
like
deal in your door.
That's not gonna happen. But
unfortunately,
did you say unfortunately?
I'd rather, no, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, sometimes it would be easier to just defeat the person.
Yeah, but then you really think about it, you're like, do I really want to be on the run, half my friends and family dead, having to fight some old dude beefing with a 13-year-old? Like, honestly. No. But
sometimes that, like, great evil, that great thing is sometimes, like, the thoughts in our head, or like it's just it's a mental attack. And sometimes, we've talked about this before, our greatest enemy can be sometimes ourselves. But if you have all these things that we're talking about, the loyalty, the friendship, the love, it won't affect you as much, and and over time you may be able to defeat your own Voldemort, I shouldn't say Voldemort,
he who must not be named.
Yes. And another thing on this is that Ron, Hermione, like, and Harry, I love their friendship. Like,
oh yeah, the golden trio.
They literally are, like, they just show that, like, it's like it shows that, I don't know, it's like a transcended form of friendship. Sometimes you watch shows and you're like, okay, these three people, like, individually they're cool, but like as a friendship group, as a trio, it's not like, oh, this, but like, and this is honestly one of my favorite genres, like subgenres, found family. And you can see with Harry, Hermione, and Ron, they absolutely are found family. They came together, three unlikely people, three different types of people. You have someone that's like from one of the oldest, like, wizardy line,
a muggle born, and of pure blood,
and like you have like you have such differences, but they put those differences aside, come together, and they just love each other, and they're just such good friends. And the loyalty and trust that's there is like,
it's unlike no other.
It's like no other. And so I love their example of friendship, and it should be an example to all of us that we should be striving for friendships like that.
So don't be like Ron in the fourth movie, who didn't believe that Harry didn't put his name in the Goblet of Fire. We don't talk about that.
Yeah, that's we'll omit that.
We'll brush over that. But there's a lot of great quotes in the whole series, but we'll stick to this movie. But one of the quotes that I absolutely love, and I'll give a little background: the Mirror of Erised. Forgot to search up how to say it.
It's okay.
Erised. It's like in the first movie, basically there's this mirror, because it's magical, right? There's this mirror that basically, if you look into it, it'll show you what you most desire. And so, as we know, Harry's an orphan whose mother and father died protecting him from Voldemort, the Dark Lord. And so when he looks into this mirror, he sees him and his parents around him, lovingly, with him, guiding him, the life he always wanted that he's never was able to have. So this mirror shows you everything that you ever want. And so this quote by Dumbledore is, "The happiest man on earth would look into the Mirror of Erised and see only himself exactly as he is." And I think that's really, really important, because I think another thing that Dumbledore told Harry Potter in the scene was like, sometimes, like, the things you want most is not the way things are meant to be. Because imagine if Harry Potter had both his parents with him, if he had grown up, you know, knowing all about the magical world, you know, he wasn't a normal kid that had struggles, or not, he wasn't the kid that had struggles, you know, living with his family, his aunt and uncle that didn't love him. If he hadn't been humble enough to find Ron and Hermione and build that friendship,
probably would have been like besties with like Draco.
Yeah, he would have been one of like, he may have even been a Slytherin. Like
because like his dad, this is kind of off a side note, his dad was low-key like
a bully,
so he would have been like friends with Draco.
Yeah, he probably would have been like one of the, like, you know, the rich,
the cool,
like,
I'm like this
pure blood, because you know my mom and dad are both like wizards and witches, and it's like, so it would have taken a completely different path. Not to say that life wouldn't have been great for him, but I think the importance of Dumbledore saying that, like, if you, like, the happiest man could look into this mirror and see him only as he is because people are always looking for more in life. You're always looking, well, I want this job, and I want to get this thing, and I want to be with this person, and I want to achieve this goal. It's this and this and this. And there's nothing wrong with having aspirations, but I think it's okay to just, like, wait and look around and just appreciate where you are in life, because you'll never be there again, and appreciate what you have. Because sometimes you don't always have to be looking to, you know, see like, oh, how can I be the happiest? What will I look like at my happiest? It's like, maybe you are at your happiest and you can't even appreciate it because you're looking for something that, you know, you're not meant to have, or something that you know actually want. And so I think that quote's super important, of just self-acceptance and self-love and loving who you are and where you are in the now, and stop trying to always achieve what could have, would have, should have been, or what can be, what I want to be. It's like, be happy with you, how you are now, because where you are is where you're meant to be. And it's like, you might not think you're at the happiest, but like, in no point in your life are you going to be like, yes, my life is great, I have zero problems and nothing can affect me. Like, no.
That's a dream world.
Like, I wish. Like, if you find it, let me know the secret, right? Yes. But like, no, I just think, but yeah, I love that quote.
I love that. What came to my mind when you were saying that is, so one of my favorite YouTubers, I don't really actually watch a ton of like long form YouTube, but I love the Kevin Lang show. And I love Kevin Lang. I think he's super funny. Like, I love his show. Like, I love how he puts it together. But he was on this podcast that came out a few days ago from when we're filming this. And he was basically just like explaining his show, his life and everything. And something that like stuck to me that he said was that when he started in this industry and everything, he met these people that, you know, have like the numbers, have this, have that, you know, to you, who is like, I guess, down here, who doesn't have all those
you're
numbers. Beginner, you're like, oh, wow, I want to be like them. I want those numbers. But he said those people are also chasing more and more and more.
Exactly.
And it's like, people are always going to want more than they want. Even the millionaires, even let's take Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, like these people, like the reason the world is the way it is now is because they're still chasing more money. Like they have.
Yeah, literally, Jeff Bezos could shut down Amazon, never sell another package again, and he's set for life. But it's like, his business is still going.
He needs more money.
We all do, yeah.
But is that like true happiness? But like, people need to understand that like, you'll never be content where you are. And so you need to, or you'll never feel content where you are. So you need to be content where you are. Exactly. And so I just love that this show, or this movie, really portrays that.
Yeah, 100%.
So the next quote that I really loved, oh my gosh, my eye. I'm not crying, I promise.
It's a good series, but nothing like that happened. Nothing really bad happens in like the first movie.
Okay. So the quote that I really love, and it's Hagrid, I believe he was telling Harry this on like being different.
I think so, yeah.
It is, I am what I am and I'm not ashamed. I love that.
Actually, he might have. No, I don't know.
Like, I really wanted to, like, find this because, like, I wanted to rewatch the quote again because I was like, I love this quote. But no one has clipped this quote. Like, where is this quote?
Imagine it's a deleted scene or something.
Oh my gosh, that would be so annoying. And I maybe like watched it like on YouTube years ago or something like that.
Time ago.
But I love that Hagrid was saying this, because too often are people like so like seeking this validation, seeking this perfection, seeking something that is not who they are.
Seeking this image.
Seeking this image. A few weeks ago, we made a video talking about like 8 hot takes or something like that. And in one of the videos we clipped, we were basically talking about like lip fillers. And we were like, we think that, you know, people really don't look good in them. Like, some people do, but for the majority, it looks really, really fake. And we were just calling it out as it is. But people really didn't appreciate that video, and we got a lot of backlash. But I think someone had commented and they were like, people want to, like, I personally wouldn't do it, but like, let people do what they want to do. And I'm like, sure, people can do what they want,
whatever you want,
but why can we also not call out and say, why can't we be who we are and not be ashamed? Like, why is that so hard in this world? Exactly. And so I think that Hagrid's message on this is so, in my opinion, so powerful. Oh my gosh, my eyes are making me noise. They're so watery. I think my makeup's getting old.
Expired mascara.
Honestly, yeah. But yeah, so if we could just follow Hagrid's example of like, I am who I am, let me be who I am. Exactly. And continue to strive to be as authentic and real to myself, I feel like this world would be a better place.
100%. And I think another thing is, for those of you that don't know who or what Hagrid is or like looks like or whatever, Hagrid is like this like giant of a man. He's the person I was talking about in the beginning of the series, or beginning of the movie, that like came up to Harry's door and like knocked it down. He was like this giant beast looking man. So he's like 9 feet tall about. He's got a long beard. He's like, what is his like species called? Like it's giants, right? I think.
Don't quote us.
I don't. Maybe I should have done more research on that. But like, I think he is part of like this giant or somewhere in that family. And so he's looked at as slightly different when he comes to Hogwarts, but Dumbledore wants him to come anyway. And so I think that's so important, is because a lot, as you see throughout the series and even in this movie, a lot of people make Hagrid feel weird or ashamed for being so tall or for being so different or for being like looking different like from everyone else, because, you know, you got this 9-10 foot man compared to like 6 feet and under people or 7 feet and under. And so I think the important thing is that first of all, Dumbledore never asked him to change who he was, what he looked like, anything. And he also, at the end of the day, owned up to it. He didn't care that, like, yeah, maybe I'm like 3 times the height of everyone else and their mom that's here, but it's like I don't need to change. I don't need to hide. I don't need to be different or weird or whatever to try and fit into people's norms. It's like I can be who I am, and I can be, again, content with that, content with where I am, and content with who I am. So.
Absolutely. I love that. Like, Hagrid is an example. Like, I had actually forgotten that the actor had passed away. It's been a few years now.
I think it was last year.
Was it last year?
Yeah, maybe 2 years ago, but it was
that was
recent.
Really sad. But like, I mean, a lot of the actors are, they're all getting old.
Dumbledore, Hagrid, Professor McGonagall, Snape.
Wait, Professor McGonagall's? Oh yeah, I remember this. Oh my god,
what's her name? Maggie Quill or Maggie
something. Yeah, it's sad. Like, great actors.
I mean, also the movie is, again, like 24 years old from the first movie.
Very old.
They were already kind of old in that first movie, so it's like,
yeah. But I love that message, and I think, I wish that the world could have a bit more of that, because it would be such a good place. And
for sure.
People, I feel like we've been talking about this a lot, there's such a lack of happiness anymore. Like, people are like, I don't feel happy. What's the point of this life? You know, because there's just so much vanity and so much like chasing this next best thing, chasing this next best look, this next best job, this like just tasting something
Yeah.
that, you know, you'll get, but then you'll want more. But if you are what you are and are not ashamed, no one can take that away from you. No one.
100%.
No one can take your own personal validity. No one can take your own personal self-worth and personal self-validation. And so if we keep striving, keep pushing to make sure that, hey, we can be happy where we are, I think that I genuinely believe that this world would be better.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
But yeah, 100%. And honestly, just a few kind of, at least key takeaways for me from the series. I keep saying series, but we're just talking about the Sorcerer's Stone. But like, again, the series all ties in anyway.
Yeah.
But like, I think one of the lessons from this movie specifically is there's this professor named Professor Quirrell. He's like a new professor. Again, they have a new professor every single movie.
Well, it's always for that one class.
The Defense Against the Dark Arts class, yeah. Which actually later came out. I'm pretty sure it was like Voldemort or what, like some professor like cursed like the class so that like they could never, because I think like one of the professor of the class like made Voldemort or Tom Riddle mad, so he like cursed it so like no teacher would ever like stay. And then when he like died, obviously like the curse broke, so that's why they had like an actual Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. That may be like, I don't know, that may be canon or like some like, I don't know,
conspiracy theory.
Yeah, like someone like, yeah, but that's what I heard, which actually would like make sense because like I think after like the whole Great War or whatever, like that ended. But like again, there's like a new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher every year. So this year,
which kind of a side note, which would kind of make sense that like even if it wasn't like, even this isn't canon, correct us if we're wrong if it is.
Yeah.
But like maybe no one made him mad, but who would be the greatest enemy? It would be the Defense Against the Dark Arts. So wouldn't it be like the most intelligent thing?
Yeah,
to like not have a consistent professor so that like all the kids, no one can actually stop you because they're ill prepared to defend against the Dark Arts. You got some
new person coming in every year, and
one's a werewolf and another
werewolf, a fake author,
a crazy lady that's like
you got a new person every week, but like Professor Quirrell is like the professor for this year, and so he's this guy. He got this little like turban wrap on his head or something, and like he's kind of like a timid character, kind of shy, like, you know, he's off to his corner. Like everyone thinks he's just weird and like kind of just doesn't know what's going on. So that class is just like, all right, like whatever. We just got to get this dude out of here. Like we don't even know what he's doing. And so like the whole movie, like throughout the movie, like Harry's attacked like multiple times in a Quidditch match, like in the hallway. There's times he's given like hexes, and so the whole time he thinks it's just Professor Snape. He thinks Snape is the one attacking him. Snape must be working with like the Dark Lord Voldemort, like, or he just has a vendetta against him. And so at the very end of the movie, again, like the Sorcerer's Stone, the movie's called Sorcerer's Stone, but the Sorcerer's Stone was supposed to have like this elixir of life, and so like whoever got a hold of that stone could live forever. So of course Voldemort and his goons were like trying to
that's crazy.
Like followers, whatever you want to call it, they're basically his goons because they do whatever he says. They were trying to find this stone. You're like, okay, so he can drink it because Voldemort is like in a weakened state. So like, okay, he needs to drink this so he can live like forever. And so like Harry gets a hold of the Sorcerer's Stone, and so this professor at the very end of the movie, Professor Quirrell, comes out, and so Harry's like, okay, well help me, like, you know, we got to get this away. And he like removes the turban, and this is another part of like the movie that was like terrifying,
so scary as a kid.
The professor's face is on this side, and he turns around, and Voldemort is like attached to like him. Like I can't remember what the word, there's like a magic word for it.
It was so, as a kid, I'm pretty sure we screamed and we were like, God, we hid behind the couch.
I watched that movie now and I'm still scarred because it's so
as a kid, gross. It was so scary.
As almost an adult, it's gross.
Mind you that this movie is in fact PG, and as a kid, you're like freaking out
because it's like you see the guy and then he turns around and then there's like another guy in his head, and it's not like, oh, it's just another, it's like another face. Like face is kind of like shriveled because again, like Voldemort's like kind of dying, so he doesn't look good at all, and it's terrifying.
It's so
It's
scary.
terrifying. So of course, Voldemort and Harry have this connection because Voldemort tried to kill him, and ever since then, their lives have been intertwined. So Harry senses that it's Voldemort, and so like in the end, like he defeats him, like whatever. You know how everyone knows the hero wins in the end, but like in the end of the day, this Professor Quirrell is the one that like betrayed him. He never would have even thought like, oh, it's this timid professor that's been here like all of 3 weeks, 3 days, whatever. Like, you know, it's not going to be this guy that like clearly doesn't know anything. But like at the end of the day, as they like look back on all the scenes, he was at all the places he got attacked, hexed, whatever. And so I think that's just like an important reminder, like I was kind of saying before, but it's still just like you have to be aware that the people that are going to betray you are not, it's not always the threat that you think is there. It's not always going to be right smack dab in front of your face. It could be, but it's not going to be like, oh, bam, like someone's coming to attack me. I see it coming. The point of like dark magic of Voldemort is that it's unseen, it's secretive, it's not something you're always going to be prepared for. And that's another lesson that Harry Potter portrays so well. As much as I hate betrayal and all of that stuff, it portrays it so well because it's not like your family, your friends, your teachers, advisors, whatever, they're not always going to be on your side. So I'm not saying like don't trust anyone or like anything like that, but again, be careful who you surround yourself with, be careful who you trust, because at the end of the day, sometimes the people near you are not always looking out for you.
Absolutely. So. And honestly, that hurts more. Yeah. The people that you thought were your friends, were the people behind you, when they end up betraying you or when they end up not being as good of a friend to you, that hurts more than like that random kid, person like, over whatever. There. Like, you're like, oh, that was weird. And then like you can laugh about that like 10 years later. Hey, you remember that kid that came up to me and said this crap? But you're not going to really laugh about what your friend said to you last week that really hurt your feelings. Like that's a betrayal that I think is worse. And so, sure. Yeah, you're so right. We need to be careful and surround ourselves with good people that you can see are truly trying to uplift you, truly trying to see you succeed. And I love that this whole movie, this whole series actually, but we're only talking about the first movie right now. It really shows that like surrounding yourself with the right people and looking out for good friends and good family and finding good people to be around is, I think, one of the best decisions you can make in your life.
Absolutely.
But I think that's all we have for you guys today. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching or listening to this. If you are listening to this on any of the podcasting platforms, make sure to follow and to leave us a 5-star review. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, give us a like, and follow us on all our social medias. We have Instagram, TikTok. I think that's about it. Follow us on there. We post fun clips on that as well. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.